Good afternoon, everybody. This is Chuck Schultz with Patriot Builders and Michigan Sawmill Sales. Welcome back to the channel. Um, I'd like to touch on the barndominiums and post frames. I don't like the word barndominium. They're post frame homes. Um, but I'd like to touch on something because I see a lot of things outside of the homes that we build and draw. By default, I've drawn every home we've built because it's been hard to get an architect to connect to the style of our construction, because my passion lies in these post frame homes, because they provide a good value of build without the sacrifice of quality of materials and craftsmanship. They provide high energy efficiency. They provide higher strength construction, and they also give you the value of owning something that's got a good resale value in the future. Um, so over the years, our first one for hire was approximately 7 years ago, I think, and I started really getting passionate about turning basically a pole barn into a home, but the structure had to be upgraded for residential specifications. You know, we couldn't just do a regular pole barn home for what everybody knows of it and turn it into a home without other precautions being taken. I used my shop that I built on my former property as the guinea pig of that style of structure, and then that was about 9 years ago, and somewhere around 7 years ago was our first for hire build for a homeowner. And it turned out great, and we've learned some things from that first initial build and made changes to our processes along the way, and we come up to what we call today a Michigan pole barn home by Patriot Builders. And so I think with some of the other people with inquiries of builds and the designs that come in, I see some designs that shoot themselves in the foot for cost effectiveness. So what I'm going to do is stay tuned for it. I'm going to create a video series, the anatomy about the anatomy of a Michigan pole barn home, what we do, our style. There's many different ways to build these homes, and I think it's really important because we've done this over and over again, and you know, our style is formed into what it is. And so I want to do basically the Michigan pole barn home anatomy, just touching on certain things. You know, I don't have a fancy way of doing this, so I have a whiteboard written down over here. So I'm going to flip the camera around. It's got a little list, kind of like a table of contents kind of thing of, you know, we're going to do several videos touching on this. We're going to try to keep the videos between 5 and 10 minutes, so that means we'll put out a bunch of them in this series, touching on different points of the structure. So I'm going to flip the camera around here. Give me one quick second. So basically we've got, you know, Michigan pole barn home, the anatomy. So we're going to obviously start with the foundation. There's several different types of foundation, whether or not you're doing sinking poles in the ground, putting pier footings in, going from grade up with the wood posts in the ground, trench footings, spread footing with a stem wall. There's, you know, and I'll touch on that with all the different types and why we have a preferred method. And then there's also other things that may be a little bit better, but the expense of it doesn't warrant the value that the functional gain of increasing to that footing style. But sometimes we run into situations where the soil conditions don't allow for it. So like if we had, for instance, a piece of property where there was a lot of sandy soils or sugar sandy soils, obviously a trench foundation is not going to be the best method because of, you know, collapses, because we're using the earth as our concrete form. So moving on, then we'll touch on the framing, several points in the framing. So we'll try to break up videos in there. We got exterior wall details, and I'll touch on
it seems kind of elementary, but there is a lot to it. All the different things that we put into the exterior wall, and then how we do the interior face of the exterior wall. We got interior wall details, which in between those two, we're going to jump to a flat work, right? So, because the flat work's got to be in before we do our interior wall. Typical exterior fixtures. Then when we get to that flat work at whatever's part in the series, we're going to discuss, I'll explain our processes to our standard, which I believe is a little, above and beyond or more than most, and why we do it that way. And then we'll touch into the insulation and our preferred method of insulation. There's many different ways, but I know our preferred method of insulation meet and far exceeds all energy codes. So let's put this back up here. But yeah, hopefully this will shed some light on what a Michigan pole barn home is. And even if you're going to be preparing a project that you're going to be doing a self-build on, and you kind of want to go with our methods, if it looks good to you, I can tell you the performance history right now. Structure, the energy envelope is superb, and there's lots of benefits to doing it to our style. Not that you can't throw anybody else's style in there too, because we're still all evolving here. Michigan is just really behind the 8 ball when it comes to the barndominium post framing. It's been kind of kicked to the curb as it has been developing in other states and down south and out west. So Michigan's really behind on capitalizing on a cost-effective structure, and that can't be more important today because of rising interest rates, costs of different materials and construction, and still being able to provide a good value for our clients while providing them a good price tag on a build. So stay tuned. I'll try to kick these videos out as quick as I can. Hopefully at least one a week. But we're gonna just expose what we do to a detail. And if you guys have any questions, please drop a comment, send me an email, something. Tell me what you want to know. I think we're going to punch on a lot of things, but please tell me what you want to know about why these structures are so effective when it comes to trying to get something cost effective, when it tries to be energy efficient and whatnot. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, thumbs up, send our videos out to people you think might be interested in a post frame. Thank you. Chuck Schultz, Patriot Builders P.F.C. and Michigan Sawmill Sales for firewood processing and sawmill equipment. Thank you. Have a good weekend.